Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Kageyama, and I'd like to welcome everyone here to Be Your Own Hero. I'm a stage 4 prostate, bone, and lung cancer patient and been battling cancer for over 2 years, getting so much better. In fact, I'm going to be doing some scans later on this month in January. So I'll find out some further updates, but all indications are pointed in the right direction. So I'm really happy about that. And I'm really, really happy about starting this new year, 2023. Let's make it great. Let's make it fantastic for everyone. And so I'm really, really excited about my guest today. And my guest name is Bhumuka Nasta. And Bhumika, would you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, hi everybody. My name is Bhumika. I live in a beautiful city in New Jersey. I have a little young daughter who's only 4 years old, and she's my entire whole life. That's what I set out my life with. I'm a one-time breast cancer survivor, and I had triple negative breast cancer when my daughter she was about 3 or 4 months old when I was diagnosed. It was very soon um, after my pregnancy. I'm also not someone who has a family history of cancer. So I'm actually the first person in my family who has it. And I was only 37 when I actually had cancer. That's a little bit about me. I'm at home
Can you
currently.
ex- can you explain triple negative? What that means?
The triple negative breast cancer is cancer that's defined by so usually cancers have three hormonal markers or three hormonal components that make up the whole, they've got the tumor markups. Triple negative is when you have none of those hormones affecting your cancer. So your cancer is not actually hormonal based, it just happens. And because there is no hormonal impact on it, it tends to be one of the most aggressive forms of cancer. So it can actually
Oh,
spread
wow.
very quickly. And if it does kind of spread around your body, it will first attack your brain, your bones, your lungs, because of the proximity, obviously. And it goes into the kidney and liver. So that's where it kind
Wow.
of, spreads around if it does.
Thank you for that. I really didn't know that. That's why anything I don't know, I wanna find out. So thank you for educating us on that. So Bhumika, let's talk a little bit about how we met. And
Absolutely.
we met on our clubhouse room called Cancer Conquering Community, which is on Thursdays at 12 Eastern, 9 Pacific. And yeah, we Katie Gaspari Rudolph and I started our clubhouse room over a year ago in September of 2021. And I think we're building just a really wonderful community. Could you share your thoughts on our room?
Sure. Well, actually, just a little bit, just to take a little bit back, I, funnily enough, actually joined Clubhouse because I joined in about January 2021. I joined because I was trying to find that support group where I could sit and talk to people who just understood what cancer was about. And somebody in who was also a cancer patient, funnily enough, kind of said, "Hey, I'm going to send you an invitation. Why don't you join Clubhouse? There are a lot of cancer communities." And one of the ones that I was very often with was Michael Stern's
Mm-hmm.
little corner. He used to run a room pretty often, and he used to try and do it twice a week. So one room would be a more serious kind of a conversation surrounding the whole cancer, and we would try to have a little bit of a fun. We would enjoy ourselves. We would talk about any ordinary things, because surprise, surprise, guys, cancer people also love funny things. Like we love our movies, we love our food, we love all of that. you know
Oh,
so I was a huge part of his thing. Sadly, he is currently fighting cancer again, and so he's not had the energy to keep up with it. Um, so that was my journey, and looking at other community groups, I found your group and I was like, oh, here's another one which is so much similar to what Michael Stone used to do. We were people who all had different types of cancers at different walks of life, some with kids, some with, grown kids, some, probably at the end of life, suffering. But we would all just sit together and talk about it, different ailments, different stages, different types of cancer. And it was nice. It was nice to be able to connect with people who had other things and other types of cancers and who are working in different fields and doing different things. And yet they're just able to kind of understand, and not only understand, but not judge you for the way you look or the way you speak or the way you sound. Nothing. They don't judge you for it. And I think that was what kind of drew me to your rooms as well. Plus, your topics are mind blowing. We just had a room on bucket list where we didn't speak as much about bucket lists, but we just connected so much. It was so nice. It was beautiful. It's such a lovely room to kind of just be a part of. And it's good. What I like, Mark, about it is that it happens once a week. So it's not something that you need to be on daily, because this can be very triggering for a lot of people. It can trigger the wrong kind of emotions as well. So it's nice to just have that once a week where you're just like, I'm sitting with my folk. I'm going to talk about my stuff. I'm going to, lay out my shit out. I'm going to give you what the problems are. I'm going to give you what I've done. We're going to share a bit of our happiness also. And, we'll move on with the rest of the week with a smile on our face. So I think it's nice. It's nice to be able to have that little support somewhere. And I think we've got Clubhouse to thank for it. It's absolutely thankful for them having something like this.
Thank you so much, Bhumika. In fact, it's amazing. You brought up an important aspect of it is, we always say it's a safe place and you can openly share. And I learn things every single week in the room, and I'm being serious about that. In fact, what you and Dr. Gary shared this past week, I've actually implemented with the turmeric, black pepper, ginger, olive oil, honey shot, along with, am I missing something there? Turmeric,
Lemon
black
juice.
pepper. Oh, and the lemon juice. That's right. and I've been doing that since in fact, right after on Thursday, I tried it, and it's really amazing. I mean, you could like feel just like energy coming into you. So yeah, I'm gonna keep doing that because I already do it, and I already take all of those things anyway. But to have it in a shot like that
Yeah.
is really, really great. So thank you for so much for sharing that. That's
So
really great.
there's a funny story surrounding that. When me and my husband used to travel, one of the things as a souvenir we would like to bring back from various countries was shot glasses. And we never used to really use a shot glass to take a proper alcoholic shot. They were just there on display. It's so funny that when I actually got cancer, those are the glasses we started removing out for this particular turmeric shot that we make. So now all my glasses are used um, specifically to have a turmeric shot. So let's be healthy while we're enjoying a little bit of, so one day it's Bali, the next day it's something else, it's fun.
So let's talk about your cancer, because your story is really, really uh, something that people need to hear. So let's get into that, and because I think it could definitely help people, and that's why we do this here, is so to give people hope and have them realize that, hey, you know these people have done it, and they're thriving, and so let's start getting into your story about how you got cancer and the specifics of it.
Well, I was actually pregnant in January of 2018, and I had a bit of a difficult pregnancy because I couldn't keep food down. And so I was losing weight. Like if you saw me from the back, you wouldn't even know I was pregnant. Like my
Wow.
regular clothes were not fitting me, they were loose for me. Like it was that crazy. Um, and so I had a tough pregnancy. It was not very, very easy. And I had to have an emergency C-section because even her heart rate had stopped, started dropping while they like there was a lot of weird complications that had happened surrounding the whole pregnancy and the whole delivery process. Um, I delivered my child in September 2018, and around about November, I had my first set of infections that you get. And a lot of lactating mothers get a mastitis infection, and you'll get your fever with it, and you get the infection, and you take your medicines and you clear it up. And what happens is generally lactating mothers are very, very lumpy, so you do see a lot of lumpiness and a lot of hard lumps, which then probably have to kind of be taken care of because that's how the milk ducts act, sadly. Um and so I had a couple of those infections. And with those infections, there was a very noticeable lump that was there. And kind of out of the ordinary, it was not something that felt like it could clear out easily. And so I went to my gynecologist and I was like, well, this is what it is. And first we said, let's clear the infection out because that could possibly be a big reason for all of this. Let's not have the infection while, we had to kind of figure this out. And so I went through my course of antibiotics, did all of that, took care of everything, but the lump wouldn't go. By the end of November, the lump actually grew to the point that you could see it with the naked eye. Like you could literally see the lump easily. And so I go back and I'm like, this is not going. There's something that needs to be done. And she said, okay, let's do this. Let's have an ultrasound. Let's try and understand what's happening. Now, lactating mothers cannot get a mammogram or are not advised to get a mammogram because you can get a false positive because we are so lumpy, basically. And so we said, okay, let's get an ultrasound done and let's see what's there. When they did the ultrasound, they didn't like what they saw. They were like, this does not look like it's something to do with a milk duct going bad or something. Like this looks to be concerning. And so they were like, we need to run a few more tests. So that I remember that 1 hour, it was in the beginning of December when I had that appointment. That 1 hour appointment turned into about 2 or 3 hours because I was sitting there waiting for someone to be free to take me in. And they were like, oh, let's do a mammogram. But then they were like, we don't know whether we can do one. So they were like, okay, let's do this. Let's have you go feed the child so that you're a little empty. And then, you can get a clearer mammogram picture and we're not looking at something that's crazy. And so they did the mammogram and they were like, we need to get into a biopsy. Now, by that time, my child was in the hospital with me. My mom was with me and it was already 3 hours up. And I was like, I can't keep sitting here because I have, a baby who needs my attention. And you are, you need to tell me what I need to do and how I need to do it. Like set an appointment, do something. Because again, it became a state of, oh, you probably need to wait an hour and a half before the biopsy doctor is free to come to you. And I was like, I can't just sit here the entire day. It's not going to happen, right? Plus, when they do a biopsy, you cannot feed your child for 24 hours.
Oh, are you kidding me?
You cannot.
Wow.
You cannot breastfeed your child for 24 hours after a biopsy is done. Like you have to allow all that milk has to be kind of expressed out because there could be blood mixed into it and stuff like that. And
Ooh,
I was like, none of this is something that I'm prepared for, right? Like I'm not prepared
wow.
to not feed her, not this, like it, you're telling a mother just all of a sudden, let's do this, this, this. And the minute they got into that whole biopsy phase, I knew something was wrong. I knew that this is not going to be easy. Like you get that feeling from inside, right? Like something's definitely very wrong. It just clicked
Yeah,
there. It
yes,
just
we know
clicked.
that feeling.
Just no, right? So I was like, no, I can't do this today. I need to come back to you and get another biopsy, like get another date to a biopsy done. we were close to the holiday season because it was already December. So I actually got my biopsy date for the 19th, which was almost 2 weeks from when this whole thing started. And I was like, okay, that's what it is. That's what it is. Now, kids, as we know, they are absolutely intuitive devils. And I'm going to say, use the word devil here. Because she immediately, I think she picked on that something is wrong and she started refusing the bottle. She
Oh,
started refusing to take the milk bottle. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want another thing on my head because already we need to go into this biopsy and then you're not going to take a bottle. You're going to start refusing that. How am I supposed to feed you? And it was another entire issue that we had to deal with. And so I tried my level best to do whatever I could to help her out. I started storing milk and I started doing all of those things, all in that panic of, oh my God, those 24 hours I can't feed her. And I'm not kidding, Mark. At that time, I only had that 24 hours in my mind that one day I cannot feed her. So I had the biopsy done first thing in the morning. I said, 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock, whatever it is, the first thing in the morning, that's when you need to do it. And so they did the biopsy. And you probably know we have so many pokes and injections and so many things that we take, but I don't know for what reason I can never do a biopsy again in my life. It freaks me out like to another level. It's a freaking needle going in, like all the needles that have all gone in, but there's just something about a biopsy that just freaks me out. And I sat there, I did it, I managed to do it somehow. They obviously don't put you to sleep completely. You're awake. They just kind of numb the area and do it. And so that happened on the 19th. And then on the 21st, we were called by my gynecologist and we were told that it's breast cancer. And I didn't have a grading or anything at that point in time. The first appointment that got set after that was actually January 8th, but then she was like, I'm working with the surgeon to push it up a bit so that at least, we can, if we need to do some tests and all, you have the month. And my gynecologist was a fabulous woman. She was the kind of a woman who would if she needed to push something, she would push it. She'd be like, get it done. I don't care how, just get it done. That's the kind of woman that she was. She would be at your back till it was not done. Um, and so they brought forward the appointment to the 5th somehow. Um,
so let me pause you right there. So when you were told you had cancer, what's going through your mind?
I think that's the first thought every cancer patient gets, right? I don't want to die. Straightforward. That's what it was. I don't want to die. And it was told to me on the 21st. So we had these massive Christmas plans because it was my baby's first Christmas with my child and stuff like that. And I think the first 2, 3 days we were in such a shock that nothing registered. The fact that it was so close to Christmas didn't register. Nothing. Like nothing happened. I had presents that were unpacked, and the tree was not like totally put up yet. Nothing. Like we were just we were in an absolute state of shock. My mom was supposed to fly back. She lives in Dubai. She was supposed to go back. She just come to help me out during the pregnancy. Um, and she refused to go back. My dad was in Dubai packing his bag. My sister was packing her bags. They were like, we're just going to fly out. We just want to come, just want to be here. Okay, we're going to figure this out. We don't know. And I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. So doesn't make sense for you to fly and come here. And I think the second thought that comes, Mark, is the feeling of uncertainty, like the feeling of not knowing what's next, is such a it's bone chilling. Like it's not even something that I can describe. The thought that what is it going to be going forward? What am I going to be doing going forward? How is all of this going to be managed going forward? You know, what's the process going to be? What's the treatment options going to be? Nothing. And like I said, I'm not someone who has a family history of it, so I've not seen anybody go through it. So we don't know what this is going to be like for me. And like, and I was just there and I was like, I'm only 37. How can I be getting something as crazy as cancer? You know? So all of that started happening. The holidays rolled around, everything happens. We try to make it the best for my daughter. We were like, let's just go ahead and celebrate, why not, and everything. And I kid you not, I had my first appointment on January 5th, where I was told what the grading was, all of those things. And I was a 2B, almost 3 because of the size of the tumor. And I was told what my options were going to be and what's going to happen. And so I come back on the 5th of January and I call my dad and I tell him this is the situation and they're working out the whole course of the treatment and everything. And I have a few more appointments lined up. So if it's possible for you all to come in soon, please come in soon, kind of like. And soon meant, yeah, another couple of weeks or not, nothing. The next day he took a flight, flew out, came here. He was down in 2 days, like literally. He was like, we're done.
Wow.
Yeah. You tell us what needs to be done, we're done. The funny thing was, I was the only one in the family by then who knew that this was what it was. I had that acceptance in me, and I was like, well, this is it. This is my life cut short now, right here. This is all the shit that I'm going to have to go through. These are all the appointments and these are all the hospital visits that I'm going to have to do. So, let's go ahead now. And everybody around me, my dad, for example, my sister, they were still in that whole disbelief. My dad was still in that belief that maybe it's not. You've not met you've not met the surgeon yet. No, maybe it's not. Uh, and it's rather funny. My surgeon was someone who loved to draw and explain to you what the thing was. So he was sitting there with, one of those drawing pads and different colored, pens. And he'd open his pad and he was like, this is what you got. This is what happens. This is what happens. He's drawing it out. And me and my husband are sitting there and we let him finish talking and explaining. And then my husband goes, baseline question, does she really have cancer? you know? And he's like, I just drew all of this for you and you still don't believe it. And he's like, how am I supposed to believe it? Like, how are we supposed to process this news? And he's like, but your wife didn't ask me this, and she's the one who has it. And I was like, well, I've given up on not believing that I don't have it. Like I've given up on that feeling. What I want to know now is what's next, what's from here. How are we taking this forward? Um, So that happened, and then there was an entire series of tests and scans and baseline stuff. Your heart gets scanned, your liver gets scanned, your kidneys, all of those things, those blood tests, a million blood tests that we had to do, and all of those things. And I met my oncologist again, who was one of the most amazing people that I've met. I kid you not, Mark. I don't think I would have even had half the energy to go through what I did if I didn't have this team of really, really great doctors around me, like people who really, really cared for you. You're like, I mean, which oncologist tells you, hey, you don't get a right to come to the hospital, just call me, I'll come and pick you up. Like,
Wow.
I'll if I can't come, I'll send the RN to come and pick you up. I'll send my car over. Like how many doctors do that for you? It's
Wow. That's
crazy.
incredible.
He was godsend. Honestly, he was godsend. It was the most amazing thing. He has done everything possible to take care of this whole condition. He knew I had a young child, and he was like, let's beat this for the young child. Who says that to
Wow.
you as a doctor? No one says that to you. It's crazy. And so Feb 7th, I had my first chemotherapy session. And then you know how the journey goes. Went on. We did 4 of the adriamycin taxol combination, that adriamycin cytoxin combination. So that's literally about eight sessions of those drugs going in, like 4 sessions, but 2 different drugs going in, and then 12 sessions of taxol going in. And I used to go to the hospital every week because if I didn't have an infusion, I would go for saline drops, just so that the energy was still built up and there was less of the dehydration. Something that again my oncologist said, why don't you just do it every week? Why not? Let's have you on every Thursday to get this done. Why not? I mean, it was fabulous. It was fabulous the way the guy worked. It was just amazing the way he worked. He immediately knew what needed to be done, how it needed to be done. Not a very nice.
Let me pause you right there. When did you develop your mindset moving forward? As far as, what propelled you to wanna live? What was your
Um,
driving force?
So be honest with you, when I did the first 4 sessions of the adriamycin cytoxin, they're one of the more potent drugs and they're very difficult to take in. I think at that point in time, by the time I did those, I actually wanted to give up. A part of me just wanted to give up. And I said, I can't do this, right? Like it's just not, it's too much for a body to take. It's way, way, way too much for a body to take in and all the side effects that come with it. I think my shift happened once those 4 got over. And, after those 4 got over, I was still somewhat alive and I was still somewhat myself in a funny way. Like there was still a bit of me that was still there in me. I was like, well, we've done this. Now it's 12 sessions of Taxol, and they say Taxol is not going to be as, crazy as these are. So let's just do those 12 sessions and let's see what happens. And when I got into that, I think that's that mind shift that started happening at that point in time. Um, the other thing that happened was by the 4th adriamycin cytoxin, I knew exactly what each of my days were going to look like. I knew which days I was going to crash. I knew which days I was going to have a bit of energy because they do give you a bit of the steroids with it so that you have an energy for a couple of days. And so I knew how that balance was going to work. And so because you start to know these things and you start to understand how your body is going to react and how these things are going to happen, automatically, me being a new mom, I started to plan my days. Today I have energy, so let's sit and do this today. Or today I have energy, let's go for a walk with the child, things like that. Or Mama, today I'm going to be a day which is going to crash. So let's cook in advance so that you're not pressurized to feed everybody because I'm not there to help you. And when I started doing that, I think automatically my mindset towards approaching cancer started changing. My mindset towards approaching the treatment started changing because you start anticipating and you start knowing what you need to do. And so you start working backwards and saying, let's do this to ease that out. By the 3rd or the 4th Taxol, I was like, hey, maybe I do have a shot at this. Maybe I do have this thing where I can actually live. And it's probably not the death sentence that people are saying that it is. You know, um, and so it's funny, but even my mindset towards what the doctors used to tell me about changing. I would sit with my doctors and it'd be like, just tell me the facts. Is it growing? Is it shrinking? Is it what's happening? Speak that language to me. Do not come and say me, oh, it's going to be okay. And oh, we're taking care. No, don't do that. Let's not do that. Let's not talk that. Let's talk facts. Let's understand. Tell me what I'm supposed to do, what I'm not supposed to do, and let's take it forward that way. And that helped a lot. That did help a lot to be like to get into that positive frame and say, you know, this could actually work. These things could actually happen. And maybe I could still be sitting here today talking to a Mark from someplace in the world, like about my journey. It's just that's how it changed. And like I'm thankful. I'm really thankful that happened.
That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. And I'm so thankful that, you know, you had that epiphany and that turned and then you started believing and then you're here and that's such a blessing, absolute blessing.
Absolutely. I remember by my fourth Taxol, I stopped putting that lidocaine cream on my. They would give you that to put on your port so that the thing wouldn't hurt as much going in. I stopped putting it. I was like, I don't need it. Like I know how it feels. Like it numbs it, but not to the extent that you don't know needles going in. You know needles going in. You know you can feel the needle go in. And I was like, it really doesn't make a difference to me anymore. This does not make a difference. What makes a difference is, yes, you're putting in poison into me, but that poison is hopefully giving me another year at my life, or it's giving me another couple of years in life. So go ahead, let's just do this. Let's get it done. Let's just get this done. That's what it was. And so I finished treatment. I was in hospital for 8 days because during Taxol, I ended up getting pneumonia, double pneumonia.
Ooh.
And yeah, was in hospital for 8 days. Not a very nice thing because I was in that triage sort of ward where all the really bad patients would come in and stuff, and I was in that ward. I don't know. I can't even remember anymore, Mark, what color codes are for what, because every day you would hear the browns, the blacks, the blues, the reds, like it would just keep going on and on and on all the time. Like I don't even know what was for what anymore. Like that's how much I've heard it. So we finished that, got out of it luckily alive again. And then I was like, well, we've reached all the way till here. Let's keep going ahead. Let's just keep at it. Keep at it a day at a time. Let's just keep swimming. And that's a little Finding Nemo reference. Just keep swimming. Just let's just keep doing that. Um, then I had my surgery done. Surgery went pretty well, and luckily they didn't have to do a mastectomy, so they did a lumpectomy instead, and they were like, it shrunk, so we only need to remove a portion. We don't need to go ahead and cut everything off. And it's funny because when I was first told this, I was like, cut them off, let's get rid of them. I don't want this. I was in that war path. How the perception and how the shift happened, it's crazy. I was like, yeah, well, lumpectomy, let's do lumpectomy, we're good with that, let's do that. Did that, did radiation. I think 21 or 24 rounds of radiation. I've forgotten now. It was
Wow.
about 21 to 20 or 24, one of those numbers. We had a little break for over the Thanksgiving holidays. That happened end of November, over Christmas, because I needed that month and a half to kind of recover from all the laser that was happening on me. And then we did a session rounds of oral chemotherapy, which I had to take. Again, not very nice. The chemotherapy has never been a nice thing to do.
Yes.
But by the time we finished that in 2019, we were well into 2020 when the chemotherapy started, the oral chemotherapy started. We were well into that whole 2020 phase. And I think that more than anything was probably the hardest because I was doing it all alone. I didn't have family around me like I did when I did the original chemotherapy. And nobody could come because it was just the start of the COVID time. So no one could come to help out. So that was difficult. That was a difficult time in terms of not only for me, because by then I had a child that was growing up as well. She was a year and a half old. They discover legs, and then all of a sudden they're in places you never expect any child to go into. Like cupboards and everything just becomes like a little obstacle course for them. Like everything's there. So she was in that stage. And so, I needed to have that energy, but then I didn't have the support for, like, today I'm a bit too tired, so can someone run after her? No, I had to do all of it on my own. And I think that's truly when, Mark, I started becoming a mother. A lot of her first year of her life, till the time she turned a year old, I always had somebody or the other around me. So there was always help. So I didn't need to do a lot except take care of myself and take care of this whole cancer situation. By the time 2020 hit and I was on oral chemo and everything, I, and my husband, we were just the three of us. Nobody could travel, nobody could do anything. It was just the three of us. And because my husband was working in the food industry at that point in time, he had to go to the factory. He didn't have a choice. So he used to also, for a large part of the time, stay a little away from us because I was still very, very immunocompromised. Till he wouldn't get, cleaned up and washed up and all of that, he wouldn't come up to see us literally, like from the basement. Like it was that crazy. Um, so my entire day used to be with the little one, and there were days that were very hard. And I think it struck me more then than it did during all those sessions because it was tough, and chemo is tough. Even oral chemotherapy is extremely tough on you, on your body. So it was a different ballgame altogether then. But when I was talking to you earlier, I told you kids are such intuitive devils. She just understood. If mama was just sitting down and she was not able to get up and do anything, the little one would come and just sit there. She wouldn't do much. She's like, oh, I'll sit here and I'll play next to you. I'll get my toy and I'll sit and play next to you. And it's crazy how quickly they understand these things. Even at that age, he just understood that mom's not good, we're sitting down. We're not going to run around, we're not going to do that. Mom wants to sleep, I'm going to lie down beside her, I'll also fall asleep. Like, just the small things that they do at that age. Yeah, luckily by mid 2020 my regime of chemotherapy also ended. And then after that, it's just more the follow-up treatments. I was declared no evidence of disease and stuff. So we then went into the whole sort of just making sure nothing's growing anywhere else in the body, doing all the sort of follow-up tests and stuff like that. And it's been 3 years now and I'm still here. So yeah, still taking it
and
a
you're
day at a time.
and you're thriving. And I mean, I'm so inspired by what you're telling me and your story, and your drive and your will to live for your child is just it's fantastic. And I meet so many people, and everybody's story is different, but there are so many similarities to the ones that do come out the back end. And so I admire you tremendously, and I thank you. And I thank you for being a part of our Cancer Conquering community, and thank you for joining us on this interview and sharing your story. It's
I
awesome.
think, Mark, all of us, including yourself, your story, when you talk about your girls, everything about it is so inspiring. The way you do things for your own kids as well. I think a big part of us just wants to be there for our kids, and therefore we fight, and therefore we get up every day and say, okay, I might be tired today, but I'm going to get up anyway, and I'm going to go and do that. And that's the point. Sometimes in life, just that getting up was a struggle. If you remember,
Oh, yes.
just getting up out of bed to go and use the bathroom used to be such a struggle. But mentally, you had to make yourself strong enough to do that and say, I'm going to get up, I'm going to go to the washroom, I'm going to come back, I'm going to go back to sleep, I'm going to lie around. But I did that today. That was my triumph today, and I kind of learned to take that in my stride and say, okay, fine, you didn't do your dishes today, you didn't, do the laundry today, you didn't cook a good meal today. It's fine. You got up. That's important. You got out of that freaking bed. You got up. You went to the washroom and came back. But you did that. You know what I mean? You did that. That's your win today. So, and it's funny because my philosophy towards life now has changed. I used to be the person who would plan 5 years in advance. This is what I want to be. 5 years down the line, that's the kind of job I want to be in. And In 10 years, this is the career position that I want to have. Now I just want to freaking get out of bed. Yeah, that's all I want to do. I just want to get out of bed. That's all I want to do.
uh,
Oh,
I just love what you're saying because it just epitomizes the spirit that this channel is all about, to be your own hero. And you're being your own hero and you're being your child's own hero. That is beautiful. And you have any final thoughts that you want to leave it, everyone?
I would just say this, that it's never wrong to have goals in life. It's never wrong to have, resolutions and everything, but don't forget to enjoy those little moments because you never know when they're going to go away from you. Don't forget to just take a break, breathe, relax, reset, enjoy that. Just enjoy that little bit and not go so wild after one goal that you just forget everything else, especially your health.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Bhumika, for sharing your story. And I'm so happy that, you know, I'm so happy that you're here. And I'm so happy that you're doing well and that you have a chance to experience all these things with your family. That is so awesome. And so I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here at To Be Your Own Hero. And I want to leave everyone with a couple of inspirational quotes. And I got these from Roy T. Bennett, The Light in the Heart. And the first one is, you cannot control the behavior of others, but you can always choose how you respond to it. And the second one is, more smiling, less worrying, more compassion, less judgment, more blessed, less stress, more love, and less hate. And with that, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us, and appreciate your health. I mean, I think Bhumika and I both really, really appreciate our health so much more,
Absolutely.
because when you have it, you have everything you need. When you don't have it, you realize, whoa, what a difference that is. So make the most out of every single day, every single hour, every single minute, and every single breath. Let's make the world a better place in 2023, and give that smile and give that hello to somebody who may need it. And with that, I will I want to thank everyone for joining us here at To Be Your Own Hero. Please subscribe, like the video, and make a comment if you wish. And we will see you next week on To Be Your Own Hero. Thank you so much.